Right, I am here at Teach Camp Cefnli in Wales. This is their annual conference, and I am joined today by Anne Laure Jackson.
Do you know you just said it was the annual conference?
Yes, oh say. Hey, do you know, there's lots going on, it's fine. So we thought it would be quite good fun. Rather than doing a Zoom, we're doing a Zoomless Zoom.
Amazing.
Which should be fun. So, Anne Laure Jackson, let's just start. What was it you were talking about earlier on? I mean, we're at a conference, it's busy. What are the sort of things you've been trying to help people with?
Yeah, because this is it's a home educators conference, so we have children from littlies right the way through teens, and then those helping support home educators go into the adult world and into the working world. So I was taking the focus of how we need to get the right sensory fit so that they can actually work well when they're doing their academics, because most children will not want to do academics, or will find it more of a struggle. They'll want to be going off and playing Lego or playing sports or music, all the things that are really motivating for them, and that's great, but we do need to help them do the academics. So I was trying to see how can we change the sensory environment to fit their own sensory thumbprint, how can we discover the things that are going to really help them work, because I'm working with an adult who was home educated, is an absolutely beautiful person, but has struggled in work and was actually going through a disciplinary process. So it's taking on board that actually she knew she was struggling, she had some issues, didn't know what they were, and it wasn't because she was home educated. The academics and what she was capable of wasn't the problem. It was the sensory environment that was the problem. It was how she was processing sensory integration. That was the problem that was causing her difficulties in her actual working life.
But we need somebody that can come along and say, that stuff that you're struggling with, actually there may be another explanation, because it's very easy to jump quickly to, okay, you're failing, you're doing a bad job, you can't sit still for long enough, you can't concentrate. It's very easy to make those judgments, but actually sometimes we need somebody who's external to the situation to say, so maybe they're not actually incompetent, maybe they're actually not clumsy, so there's another explanation, and once we know what that explanation could be, then I guess we can start to work on that and help what we see as really negative, because behind every negative there's a positive.
Yeah, and that's what was really interesting. So at the end of the talk, when I was talking about how, because of her clumsiness that comes from poor proprioceptive vestibular functioning and some poor tactile processing as well. So her clumsiness was coming from that. Her anxieties were coming from the fact that she was really bothered by the sounds, the sights. She couldn't follow the conversations in team meetings. It wasn't being presented in a way that she could process it well. So that's also why she was failing. So it was the sense of all of this stuff was causing her to have anxiety, to feel shattered, to obviously not feel good about herself. Other people were just not, the team wasn't working very well. So for her, it was like, we needed to work on a lot of stuff to change that environment, but the best thing was that one of the mental health workers that is also here on the camp said, this needs to be in the mental health sphere as well. And I said, absolutely, it does. So I know next week when I'm back off camp, I'm going to be speaking to mental health services to see how we might be able to introduce an awareness. Even the sensory super system itself would be amazing, but I don't know if they'll take it, but at least some awareness that actually sensory processing is real and the knock-on effects are huge for people.
It reminds me of the whole issue around left-handed and right-handed writing. You go back not far in history, you're wrong. You should never write with your left, you must write with your right hand, because there was a complete lack of understanding for whatever reason. I don't know about that, but there was a lack of understanding of, actually this person can't be forced to write right-handed because they're left-handed. But now we sort of think, well, I'm left-handed, I'm right-handed, and we understand, but it was one of those things, wasn't it, in education where, well, that's wrong, that's terrible, that's bad, you must write with your right hand, but some people couldn't.
I know, it is bizarre, and I don't know where we pick these things up from a lot of the time, or why we think if we're doing academics, we have to sit at a table. I mean, when we were in caves, because you were at certain points in time, we started off, it was a natural place to be. I don't believe in cavemen, but as such. But you didn't have a desk, in a cave, and it's just like, well, how come? But people still learned, and they looked at the stars, and they saw things, and we developed, and we made pyramids, and we did all kinds of things. But did we sit down at a table to do that? So we have a concept often that academics needs to be done at a table, or that it needs to be done with that individual person having that pen in hand and actually doing the writing or the reading themselves. And it's like sometimes we just need to have that freedom and that permission to do things differently, to learn in a way that is exciting and that helps us, just brings us alive and helps us enjoy the journey that we're on.
Because we're all different, and we have different tastes in music, different ideas of what's hot and cold. We have a different holiday desire, or we prefer a different seating position in the car. There's so many different parts just simply to life. But when you get into the senses as well, it's just opening up this other thing of how we live and how we interact with other people, and we are all different. And I remember hearing a guy, and he was a professor at University of Education, and he said if you looked at the education system, completely like an alien from another planet would come along, and he said, what's the education? He said, the point of the education system is to make education professors. And this is his comment, and he said that's not right, because one, there can't be that many of him doing his job. But if that's the whole focus, then we've made it wrong somewhere, because surely education shouldn't be about creating one person, but about empowering and helping people in their daily life.
Yeah. And I've just done another interview in Jersey. We've found that over the last 3 years, the numbers of those who are home educating has doubled. No, it's increased. Yeah, that's doubled, 50%. You can tell I wasn't home educated, so I went through the school system. What's my maths like? But sorry, no, don't mean to put down the school system. So it's very good at what it does in its own way. Just maths is not my strong point. But so it's increased to 50%. I'm saying so education is about finding that it's the right fit for that person. It could be that environment's great for some, but it's not great for others. And definitely when it comes to learning, that we just let's help people learn in the way that they love to learn and that excites them, whether that be practically hands-on, doing things and creating things, or writing things out and drawing and calculating this, that and the other. I think education should be exciting and fun and stimulating and not tiring, boring, exhausting. Stuff that it can be if we don't do it well.
I do remember at school we were learning about Mount St. Helens. So this is the volcano in America that erupted very, very famously because there were loads of high-tech cameras available. But the geography teacher, I still remember this lesson. It's one of the few I do, because we had remember the old TVs that used to come in on a big trolley thing in schools? Okay, it does take me a little bit. He wheeled one of these in, and he had the video of Mount St. Helens, and he kept on hitting pause so we could see this thing growing. But more than that, he got a pen marker and actually drew on the monitor so we could see the growth of the mountain every time he paused. And there was obviously a little timeline from the clock. That stuck in my head today. I still remember it because I thought, you can't draw on a TV. What are you doing? But he absolutely loved geography, and it captivated and it brought us in. And I thought that is the absolute highlight for me, or sort of the most best way of teaching people, because every single one of the 30 people in that room was absolutely, you could have hit a pin drop.
Yeah.
And that was not always the case, but we were all completely just focused on what he was doing, because he brought it to life in a way that a 3D image on a screen didn't.
Yeah, and that's amazing, because we think, that's what, actually having things on a screen, because we're so screen orientated, we think that'll be the way, but actually sometimes it gives it that extra layer, and you can actually physically see it, visually you see it, you get them involved, and it's powerful. It's good.
What's your takeaway? So, I mean, we're at the Teach Camp, so this is around home educators getting together to support each other, be with one another at a conference, which is great. What would be your takeaway for people who are coming to this, perhaps especially those for whom noisy environments like this there's not that many people in this room, but if noisy environments aren't your thing, what's your takeaway for those people to try and help them and encourage them to come to places like this, which are so good, whether it's a Teach Camp or whatever conference or festival it is? How would you help people who don't process noise to do better at places like this?
Yeah, apart from the obvious, which is the ear defenders and the earplugs, I think let's find those things that you really want to go to. And because most of us at least, have the capacity to hold ourselves together for a certain period of time, and then we need some space away. And I think that is where it comes in. So it's just like go and find those things that you really want to go to. Make sure that you go to those, but then also make sure that you take time away and recognise that you can't do everything, and that it's okay not to do everything, so that you can then go and walk up the beautiful mountains that we've got here, or go and stand in the rain, or whatever, however you refresh. It's having those times away so that you can then come back in and cope with that environment, once again. And actually, there was really lovely something, if I don't mind saying that, from the chat that we had. Finishing off, there was a chappie that was here last year who came to conference, and I was talking on a slightly different subject, but obviously still in the whole arena of sensory. And he said this year has been such a difference for him. It's been a beautiful change for him, which has just been, it made my day. And it was just like, well, hallelujah, because he was just saying he took some of the things on board that we raised last year. And he said it's just been such a lovely year for them. And it was just really nice at the end of the talk for someone to affirm that they put things in practice from one conference to the next conference. So that's not about actually coming to a conference, but it was just the power of what conferences can do. So it's like, don't stay away, if at all possible, don't stay away from these places. Just work out your way of being in them.
And I guess part of that is simply accepting that you've got your family home, you've got the house, you've got your rules, you've got your ways of being, you've got things that happen this way and that time, dinner's at this time, and it's over here, and here's the chair, and we know where the fridge is. And then you come somewhere outside of that daily occurrence, and all of a sudden, where's the fridge? Why is that person doing that? Oh, I want some quiet. But part of it, I guess, is just simply accepting that it's not going to be, and it sounds like an obvious thing, but I think it's an important one, is it's not going to be what we have at home, because it's going to be different.
And the preparation mentally, things are going to be different, preparing that. And we also this morning just chatted about, I often describe types of coffee. I don't think we've done this one actually. No. And so our cappuccinos are those of us who are able to be part of different sensory environments. So it's a bit of a coffee, a bit of milk, a bit of froth, a bit of, it's just a bit of everything, and they can cope. So there are quiet times, there are noisy times, and they're fine. We looked at 3 other types, one being a latte, and they really do need a very quiet experience. So even being in here, which is like the general coffee room, they just wouldn't actually be in here at all because there is too much chatter. There's too much going on. So they would need to spend most of their time in the leisure home and the caravan because it would just be too overwhelming of a sensory experience, and they would only come in for those specific things that they really wanted to. So there's our lattes. And then you've got the others at the other extreme. That we have espressos, then we have double espressos. And our espressos, we see it our double espressos are especially our boys who are just on the go. They are into everything, and they are climbing over everything, and they're climbing on the sofas, and they're on the chairs, and they're on the tables. Thankfully, this afternoon they're out at the moment, out on the playground. But they have just such an intensity. They just love the feeling of what's happening in their bodies, and it's harder for them to sit and actually listen. But the families are doing really well, and they're giving them things to fidget with and to chew on and to play with, and try and keep them as active, to try and keep them in the seats because there's not a lot of space in there to do other things as well. But
I guess one of the things, especially in that sort of situation, you're either going to try and stop somebody, which could be okay, it might be, it's a safe thing, it's fine, but actually if it's in an environment like this where we've got lots of people around, actually just trying to force somebody, yes, that's okay, maybe for 5 seconds, but eventually that's going to explode. It's like constantly shaking a fizzy can, then trying to open it. And we think, well, why is it fizzed everywhere? Well, if you keep shaking it, if you keep squishing it, eventually it's going to build the pressure and it's going to rip somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And that's where it is like you see, it's interesting. I don't go around assessing everything, I just enjoy observing because that's what I do. And then you see the families where you just think, they're going to fizz. So they just take them out, but then it's fine, you go and settle them out, and then they can come back in again. And you think, oh, that's nice too. So it's like just if things do explode a bit, if the children do kind of lose it, that's fine, they can go out for a little bit, but then they can just come back in, they can settle, and then they're fine to come back in again, and they can join in with the rest of us, because it is very much a family camp. So there is noise, there is stuff happening, but it's just so relaxed. It's a lovely place to just be and come and be together.
And children run up and down in front of the camera, which is fine, because I didn't want to kind of block this area off and say we're filming. As soon as you say that, people then go all quiet, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
So at some level, you just go, do you know what? There's noise, and it's been accepting the fact children are going to run up and down. We're going to blank them out when it comes to going on the video because, hey, we haven't got permission, I'm not even going down that one. So you just have to live with it, or you get really frustrated, which I'm really not. I'm very relaxed about it because, hey, we're in the middle of a room and it's great and I'm loving it.
It's funny because I saw them running up and down and I thought, what do I do here? And I thought, well, Andy's not fast. If Andy's not fast, I'm not fast. I'll just carry on talking.
Not bothered or phased at all. It's all fine, but we will blank the children out later. That's fine. So then you've got to get permissions. But again, it's the central thing. Am I going to be accepted or am I going to be frustrated?
Right.
I love it. I love children running around happily. They're getting on with each other. And that's great. So it's a good thing. So there's no frustration for me because, hey, do you know what? Noise happens, life happens, mess happens. And you either embrace it and accept it and make the most of it and think, there's going to be some noise, let's make some more. Or you're trying to control it, and that's never going to end well unless it's for safety reasons. Stopping your child running around because it's a pier and it's slippy and there's water, yes. Grab your child, don't let them run around, please. But if you're not on a pier, then it's probably okay.
And this was really interesting. The case study that went this morning, she actually said that she gets nervous. This is an adult. She gets nervous if she is told to sit still. You know, even as an adult now, the sense of, because she still needs to move. She still needs that proprioceptive feedback into her body just for her to know where it is and for her to feel secure. So even like, just even the smallest things, it's like, she just needs that freedom, and I think that is going to be the big shift from being a left-handed to a right-handed, or to be able to be free to be a left-handed person in a society where 75 of us will be right-handed. Going back to your analogy, it's like I think it is growing that there is more freedom that we can give to people and bring to people without it totally destroying the good that we do have when things are more controlled.
So coming at this from a different perspective, I mean, this is an organised event. You know, Catherine Lee is the centre where we are. So they're going to have their boundaries, their rules, their sort of, I suppose, conditions of being in the building. You've got Christian Education who are here, who are trying to create things. How does an organisation say, well, we need some measures of control, we need some boundaries, but how do we put boundaries in without crushing people in order that we can have some order, because that's important. You know, we want to be able to hear the people speaking at the front. There is a time to say to the child or to the adult, you know, now's the time, can you just be quiet so you can listen to this? But how does an organisation start to create a framework like this with order, which is important, so that people can go to things and enjoy things and have freedom? And what sort of an approach would you suggest to people when they're trying to organise at a big event like this with, I think Tim said, 240 people on site?
Yeah, I think one thing that I really appreciated last night, preparation is key, getting the information out beforehand, setting expectations, letting people know. But it was also little things that Donovan, one of the guys, was leading last night, and he just said, he reminded people that when you have 2 and 3 and 4 year olds, when they are asleep, you really appreciate that they are asleep and you would like them to stay asleep. So for the rest of us on camp, if we are heading away from the cafe area at 11 o'clock at night or even 10 o'clock at night, that are making noise, or for the children around the camp, making noise, screaming in fun or anything else is not going to be helpful, and we may disturb other families. So it was the sense of raising the respect and actually setting the expectations and reminding us, because that didn't come out in the literature beforehand. Please, after 9 o'clock, that's what he said, just especially 9 o'clock, just try and keep your voices down. It's just having those prompts from the front are really important and really helpful and really good, a reminder in the moment, because many of us will have read the background literature about general stuff about camp life and so on, but little things that are spontaneous and on the day, and organising times when you do want people to be together so that they can hear updates, they can hear about lost and found, they can hear about important things. And I thought that was a really lovely one, because I hadn't heard that one before set the same, said in that way, and I thought it was done beautifully. And I think that's the other side of it, it's how you put it across. And I thought he did that really, really well, so that there would generally be a quieter camp after 9 o'clock, not even just the normal 11 o'clock that it can be.
Because it's about respecting other people. Because again, I think we've had this conversation several times, and I think we're probably going to keep on going about some of the same conversations. So I think they're important, but actually there do need to be boundaries. There do need to be points at which we say, well, look, here you can do this till this point, and then from that point you can't do that, and actually that's okay. And what I would say was not okay is you can do whatever you want, whenever you like, however you want to do it, because we still have to interact with other people. which come back to the toddler thing. It's like, well, after 9 o'clock, even if that family normally 7 o'clock bed lights out, well, you're not at home now, you're at a camp. But at 9 o'clock, you can be guaranteed. So then you just need to sort of change your day around what's going on.
Yeah. So I love that. Yeah, and boundaries and flexible boundaries, so that everybody has. If everybody gives a little bit, then you accommodate so many more people. If you ask some people to stretch a huge amount, that's really hard for this subset of people. But if everybody just accommodates and tweaks and changes a little bit, then it just makes it life. I think that's a good camp, when everybody has to change a little bit and not too much.
Yeah, because there's always in that one person that I want it this way and I want it that way.
Yeah.
That's kind of the spoil sport that's going to ruin it for everybody, because little bits of compromise, all of a sudden you've got families who are out of their own normal situation and then really able to engage and be a part of it and enjoy what's going on.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And when we came in on the train, that was fun, because we had a delayed flight, and then we had cancelled trains, and then we had 2 other trains to catch. And anyway, we ended up here. But we arrived just at the train station, and then we saw there's a mum, a heavily pregnant mum. She had a buggy. She had one child, another child out of the buggy. You had Dad with the suitcases, 2 other children, and they were at the bottom of the stairs. So I don't know why that randomly came to mind, but it just did. And I thought those kind of situations, and they were standing there at the bottom of the stairs. And I started going up the stairs, and it took me a while to process. I'm thinking, how's she going to get that buggy up the stairs? It's just you've got little children, you don't want to leave them. And so it was just I headed down and called my big boy. So it was right. So Samuel came down, and so the 2 of us lifted the pram up. But there's always going to be things when you're coming somewhere new that it's this is different. But I'm really glad that she didn't think, as a heavily pregnant mum, that she was going to stay at home and miss out this year. It was just no, we're going to make the effort. Things are going to come up that we didn't know we needed to address, but hopefully someone will always be there to help us. So it's just if we can all give a bit and be prepared to give a bit, then hopefully we'll all have a good camp.
That's a good place to finish. That's a good place to finish always. If we'll do a little bit,
yeah.
It accumulates and it grows and it's all better. So I've really enjoyed actually having our interview without, it's a Zoomless Zoom, actually talking to you in the person. And it is that thing of headshots. I mean, we're so used to a 19:6 kind of image. That's the standard TV, and that's what we see of people. That's the life we enter into. And then all of a sudden it's exciting because, hey, they've got arms and legs and everything else, and it's quite fascinating. And we did have this conversation at Big Church Festival with a few folk who said it's so bizarre meeting people, because we're almost still kind of coming out of COVID in a sense of distance, because now everybody does Zoom. But yes, if we all do a little bit, all of a sudden it gets better for everybody. Right, well, Anne Laure Jackson, thank you. If you want to know more about Anne Laure Jackson, go to our website, pure247radio.org, pure247radio.org/ALJ, and that will give you all you need to know about how to get in contact with Anne. I was going to say thank you and have a good day, but thank you and have a good day.
And you too, and let's carry on with a good day together.
Yes.